welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to be here. Hi, Robert.
And welcome to our audience to our ZEISS Innovation Talks, where we bring you, our experts, to talk about the latest innovation in industrial quality solution. Today, we focus on software. And with me is Stefan, head of our BU software at Industrial Quality Solutions. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Simone, she's responsible for our data management solutions at ZEISS.
Nice to be here.
Stefan, do you want to say a few words to your person and history at ZEISS for the audience?
Sure, I can do so. So my name is Stefan Wamsler. I'm the head of software at ZEISS Industrial Quality Solutions. And I've been with ZEISS for about 8 years now. And yeah, before that, and also like during my entire professional life, like more than 15 years, I've been working mainly on transformation, digitalization, software projects across several industries. And yeah, it's great to be here to talk about digitalization, artificial intelligence, data management, and see what we can do for our customers.
Great. Simone?
My name is Simone Kronjäger, and I'm happy to be responsible for PyWeb globally in sales and global projects. Nice to be here. And I can give some experience from my 30 years now in IT and production.
30 years. Okay.
So,
yeah, interesting to hear what you have learned in this period of your time.
yeah.
But before we get down to the topic of empowering quality through data and AI, I have prepared a small lightning round. I hope you don't mind a few quick questions and quick answers.
Mm-hmm.
So this will give the audience the possibility to get to know you a little bit better. So one personal question and one technical, just to get started. Stefan, do you mind if we start with you?
That's fine.
So I know you go to vacation tomorrow, I guess. Is it mountains or sea?
Sea.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Summer, sea.
That's a clear answer. I can fully appreciate. Simone, if you have to choose a book for the summer vacation, fiction or non-fiction?
Fiction.
Okay, that's intriguing. And now we go to the technical stuff. As you are here for software, still I want to ask the question, human intelligence or artificial intelligence? What's your favorite right now?
The combination of both.
Yeah, true. Someone has to feed the AI, right?
You cannot separate it, I would say.
Okay, I accept this.
The question was wrong, I would say.
Also accepted. Now, also a difficult technical decision you have to make if you have to choose between a cloud-based data management or an on-premise solution. Is there a right or wrong answer?
No, I think it depends on the case.
And you will hopefully explain when we use what as we go through the topic.
Later.
Okay. So let's get into it. So we will talk about empowering quality through data and AI. And we want to first cover a little bit the industry trends that we see that really drive those needs. Stefan, let's start with you. What do you see when you talk to leaders in the industry when it comes to quality and AI?
Well, there's actually a lot going on now with this artificial intelligence. Kind of everybody has some measures in place and stuff. But I think it's important not to focus only on the technology, but really the challenges that they're facing.
Yeah.
And
So
I
what
think
it's
they've been
good
there
for,
also, for a certain amount of time. On the one hand side, what we always hear is the time-consuming inspection processes. So it takes too long, cycle times are too long, and they have to increase their productivity. And on the other hand side, there's a topic which I found quite interesting, that it's really the shortage of skilled labor. So they have really a lack of trained, of talented personnel.
In manufacturing and metrology and quality, where is this?
Yeah, probably all over the place somehow.
Okay.
And it's really with advanced manufacturing quality roles, they're really having a hard time to recruit the people, especially with this increasing complexity that comes now with digitalization.
And this is where digitalization should focus then.
Exactly. This is the great hope of them. On the other hand side, that digitalization will solve a lot of these challenges. On the one hand side, increase productivity. On the other hand side, also help them to solve the talent gaps, because you automate more and more in a combination of the right hardware, software, data management, artificial intelligence.
Okay. Interesting challenge. Let's do the deep dive in a minute. What do you see, Simone, when you talk to industry leaders about the challenges on the data management side?
Yeah. They still invest too much time in creating papers on Excel sheets and stuff like this.
So again, productivity.
Get data and with employees that are well knowledged. But we should eliminate this and give them the data that the people can focus on the critical aspects, on the problems, and solve them and increase quality. I think this is still one of the most important points.
So again, really freeing up the time of the people and the valuable people to do the right stuff.
Exactly.
So Stefan, then let's focus on the digitization. So what is holding us back to really address those challenges that you mentioned using software and AI?
What is holding us back? First, I think we have to acknowledge that it's a huge megatrend, right? And we read the buzzwords every day in the news. A lot of things are changing, and technology, artificial intelligence, for example, is a huge driver of change.
Super intelligence.
Exactly. Super intelligence, agentic AI, DeepSeek in China, ChatGPT,
all this
everything that we also use, probably also the listeners of the talk. And so we have those buzzwords on the one hand side, but on the other hand side, it's really hard for our customers to really implement it and then also create benefits out of the technology.
So it's easy on the personal level, as we all use this on a daily matter, but why is it hard for the companies in manufacturing and quality to implement?
Yeah, I think actually it's like with every technology transformation somehow. There's always, and I mean, we're an engineering company, a tech company.
Yes.
There's engineers out there, and we all tend to, focus on the technology first. And it's great because without the technology, we wouldn't see the transformation. It's like the Industrial Revolution in the past. It happened because new technology like the steam engine has been invented. And now with artificial intelligence, we have this technology, but we're very passionate and excited about it. But sometimes we ignore what else is needed in order to create real business impact.
On its own, it's not yet sufficient.
On its own, I don't know, I don't have scientific data, but I would say maybe the algorithm itself is just like 10% of creating business impact, right? You also need data management, you need the right software solutions, the right hardware, the right algorithms, and so on and so forth, and you need the change management in the organization. By the way, I just mentioned Industrial Revolution. I think this is a really nice analogy to that.
Oh, how is this an analogy? Why do you think?
So, I mean, we all know it happened before our lifetime, obviously, but the first step with the steam engines and then with electricity, and I think the second step is quite interesting, and it was eye-opening to me when I heard this the first time. So when electricity arrived in manufacturing, what the early adopters did, they exchanged the power
late
source.
1900s, right?
Yeah, it was like, I think 1880 or so. So they exchanged the power source. However, productivity did not improve. Yeah?
Because it was still the same process.
Exactly. So machines were kind of, the power source was in the center and machines were just built around it because of the shafts and the belts that had to connect with the machines. It took about, I think, decades, couple of years until productivity increased. And this was exactly when they recognized that you can actually detach your power source from where you need the power. So you can basically plug in the machine wherever you want to plug it in.
Decentralizing then and making use out of this specific electricity property other than the steam engine, which was a central power source. Yeah,
exactly. And this is where the line production was invented, where mass production came into play, where
so this is really
increased.
Then enabling technology, but you have to change the process to really gain the benefits. And this is like today what our customers are facing on AI.
Yeah, I think we're somehow at the same inflection point with AI. We have all those buzzwords, initiatives running, but it's really the challenge, how can you implement it in a way that it transfers into business impact? Again, a combination of different measures that you need to put into place. But I think it's also great, like, let's leave the buzzword level and look at the impact there. And we have a lot of examples at our customers where they already benefit a lot from artificial intelligence as of today. We have, for example, a e-motors producer who has saved, I think, up to 70% in their process time, or another medical company. Yeah, they reduced the process time from up to 60 minutes to less than 7. So really huge benefits, but also with somehow the adaptation of the processes.
Okay, so let's deep dive into those examples a little bit later. Let's shift the perspective briefly to the data management side, because as I understand, data is a core for all the digitalization. And I guess we see a lot of improvement potential, let's put it positively, also on this side. What do you see and what are the challenges in implementing those solutions at the customers?
I think the first step is for our customers to become paperless. No Excel, no paper anymore, please.
Okay, PDFs, gone.
No. And to get the data created by the devices directly. We can do that with our devices, of course, in a very, very elegant way. We can get the raw data, the result data, but also pictures, pictures from our CT, as well as 3D data and CAD data for the tactiles, and point clouds for mesh data
the
for
scanning.
the optical.
Okay, yeah.
So it's easy afterwards to visualize this also in the system. And this should all be virtual. From a small company as well as plant-wise, over several plants, and finally globally.
So really different. You can think small, you can think big, you can think
It's absolutely
different departments.
Exactly. And even we can integrate the data from suppliers as we do
even
that.
beyond my own manufacturing, I can also pull in data from my suppliers to get their quality right?
Yeah, we do it in our company at ZEISS IQS. We integrated suppliers and we get directly from their devices or sometimes even manual acquired data in our database to have analysis, to release a delivery, for example.
So no more
delivering.
Incoming goods inspection. We basically get the valid data straight with or before the delivery of the parts.
Yeah, and we save the time of delivery, of course. We can make
of course. We know
much
that
earlier
what's coming
decisions.
is right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so this is really on collecting this data, but this was one use case where you already make an action out of it. So what other actionable information can be generated when we collect the data on the shop floor, in the quality department? How can this be used? Or how is our customers using it?
There are so different aspects how customer can use it, because Piper is not just a statistic or reporting tool. The question is how we can support special processes. And there is one functionality in the system that's really quite nice. It's a ease of use designer.
What does ease of use designer mean?
It looks and feels like PowerPoint, but with real data connectivity. So the department, the quality department itself, can create reports as it's needed.
Put pictures in, I put data in that is there?
Elements, how to visualize, and I connect it with my data.
Okay.
A control chart or a picture or a table, whatever I need. So I can adapt it to different processes. For example, you produce a part and you bring it to the measuring room. They do the measurings and see, we have to correct the machine in the production. And the user and the worker at the machine gets a special report where he gets the information based on the measuring results.
So no one running over the shop floor, handing over a measuring report saying you need to.
No.
It's just showing up.
He prepares his manufacturing machine. He gets a report. What do I have to change in my CNC program or in my parameters? Just as one example, yeah.
Okay. And that's, I guess, scalable to the sense that if I have a report like this, I can share it with my second plant and third plant. So really being effective in setting up those processes as you described.
Yeah, you have in mind, a lot of our customers do have subsidiaries all over the world. Yeah. And of course, I don't want to, when I have a ramp up in a production, I have a part I produce and I want to discuss from China to Germany to US. And I do not have this part in Germany on the desk. So all these data I need, the 3D model, the defects, the measurings.
It's all in the system to be shared and
all
jointly.
Virtual.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. And I guess that speeds up then really the decision-making and communication process.
Exactly. Collaboration becomes much more easy when you have a solution like this that handles all these data in a network, right?
I know that some of the German OEMs are using it, but whom can you talk about that is using it? Can you give us examples where the second topic you mentioned is relevant, the supplier management? We do this, as I understand.
Yes.
Are there other companies who use this to really bring their supplier bases under quality?
For example, we have Denso in India is a huge first tier for OEMs, and they use it also as a portal solution. And
portal means really connecting the supplier.
You ask me cloud or on premise. Supplier is a solution you put in a cloud in security aspects. So everybody in the world all suppliers can put the data in this cloud solution, but then you aggregate these data. Denso does it in their own production field in a secure area for their own production data. So it depends on the case, cloud or on-premise, as you asked before.
Okay, now I understand why it's hard to decide. It has both its value. Stefan, you mentioned some good examples for using data and AI then in really not image acquisition or data acquisition, but also in the data analysis where customers speed up. You mentioned NEV, hairpins, medical. Can you give us a little bit of a flavor of what is happening there and
Sure.
what the benefits are.
Absolutely. So let's take the example again from the e-motor producer. And so initially what they had to do is they had to do welding inspection on the hairpins, right? So the stator. So what they did is they cut off the hairpins and put them under the microscope and, looked at it to see how is the porosity,
So
where are the
time-consuming,
defects.
destructive.
Exactly. Very manual processes,
Manual
so to say.
process, yeah.
And it actually relates back to the story of, it's not just the technology, it's more than that. Because fast forward, they ended up with a new process which was based on X-ray technology.
It's a completely different technology.
Exactly. Non-destructive. So they put in the whole stator or the hairpins into the machine, get out the data, and then with AI-driven analysis of the data, they could then improve their cycle times by, I think, about 70% or so. So
And actually
really
they get
huge
even-
increase.
And they get actually more data because 3D non-destructive, you get the whole part and not just a cross-section. So it's even a benefit on changing process, gives you speed and additional benefits on seeing stuff.
And it was really like the big benefit also of our huge portfolio at ZEISS with the different hardware technologies, tactile measurement, optical, you mentioned microscopy. So the combination of these technologies is really where we can consult the customers in a way that they can pick the best one, combine it with our ZEISS Inspect software solutions, for example, and use the AI model that's included in the software and have a great reporting on top. So again, it's the combination and it's this rethinking of the process that really created the benefit.
And if I hear you correctly, it's also AI enables automation of some of those processes that have been done manually before. And I guess in industries that are depending or required to do 100% inspection, like a medical, this can be a huge benefit as well. Because you have to do it by law and by the standards. And you cannot get around it. So speeding up those kind of things is also tremendous help.
Yeah, absolutely. Like where regulation happens, they're also having a hard time, and there the challenge of reducing those cycle times and the time-consuming processes is really a burden. And there was another example with a medtech company called Smith & Nephew, and they used the Sencor software with microscopes to do basically analysis of the layer thickness of the coatings of implants.
Okay.
And so what they did is they used the software then with AI, and in the end they ended up with reducing the time from up to 60 minutes to less than 7 minutes.
So before this was human intelligence
Exactly.
in analyzing those images, and now they trained their own AI, or we trained this AI? How did this work?
It's a combination, so it depends. I'm not exactly in the details of the case, but in general, what we have over the last years, we actually built dedicated models for inspection and metrology, AI models on our platform, more than 100 actually.
Okay,
we have
customers
AI
could
experts,
use,
exactly, and those are the basic models that customers can use. And depending on the application, we're also doing dedicated models, train them so that the customers really get the real impact for the challenge that they have.
And they keep their intellectual property on what the defects are in those images, and they keep those models to themselves if they like.
Yeah, it depends a little bit on how the situation is and what's the project, but this is how we approach it.
So what do you imagine the future will be for AI at ZEISS and our customers?
Endless opportunities, of course. Yeah. So again, we are super passionate about technology. We believe that it's going to be a tremendous transformation for manufacturing, metrology, design, the entire processes. And again, as we said in the beginning, let's leave the buzzwords and create real business impact.
Yeah, of course.
This is what we want to do. And that's also why we said for our AI strategy, we want to start with the customer challenges. So we want to really start with what's the job to be done for the customers, what's their biggest challenges, again, time-consuming processes, talent gaps, so on. And then look, how can AI as a technology help them solve those challenges? Yeah. And this is the first thing. The second thing is implementing AI in our software solutions, right? So we have this huge portfolio of ZEISS Inspect software, ZEISS PyWeb, Calypso, Connected Quality, Sencor for microscopes. So we have a huge industry-leading portfolio of software, and what we want to do is integrate AI seamlessly in this software.
Yeah. So to really make it tangible, and thanks for those examples you gave that really give a first impression of how we make this productive for our customers. Simone, do you want to summarize from your perspective the data management approach that we as ZEISS enable?
Yeah, with ZEISS BiWeb, for me, it's a no regret solution. Yeah.
Okay.
You can implement it and you can create added value from the first day. You can scale up from a small solution to a huge solution. It's just a question when we can start.
So, and it's I learned step-by-step approach and an easy-to-use designer. So that's what I got. So thanks for those insights and discussions. Thanks for sharing all those very nice examples. Yeah, and thanks to the audience for tuning in to the ZEISS Innovation Talks on software. Stay curious, keep innovating, and see you next time.